Ladies and gentlemen, San Diego Inventors Forum is quite pleased and honored to welcome tonight's speaker, Lisa Rothstein. Lisa!
Hi! Thank you. Thank you for your patience, everybody. So I'm here to talk. That's why it's the light is shining in my eyes, because that's much better. I can see the slide, and I also am not getting blinded. Awesome. So I'm here to talk to you tonight about focus groups. When I was contacted about this, I was thinking, well, I'm really an advertising person. I'm not really an expert on focus groups, but I have had some experience with focus groups that I think is really applicable to you guys today. I'm going to tell you a really fun story about this. So I've entitled this, Focus Groups Are Talking to Strangers Can Help You Gain Perspective on Your Products, Get Ideas for Marketing, and Save You a Bundle. Because as was said before, you can spend a lot of money on something that isn't really a great idea, that you think is a great idea, that your mom thinks is a great idea. And it's not just individual inventors that make this mistake. I mean, as you're going to see, some pretty big companies, and you've probably seen it before, have made these kinds of flops because they didn't really listen to their customers. See, it's working. But that's my new headshot, because my mother didn't like the one where I was making that horrible face, so she made me get new photographs. So who am I, and why should you listen to me? I'm going to give you slightly, because I've already had an introduction, but I'm just going to give you a little more. This is kind of more fun. So I have been working in advertising and marketing since the early 80s. So it's been, I've seen a lot in that time. A lot of things have changed, a lot of things haven't changed. I was responsible for a lot of international and national ad campaigns. The best known is the one for Hanes that ran for so many years, where there's the jingle that goes, "Wait till we get our Hanes on you." So I like to say that I changed your underwear. That's my big joke. And that campaign really did make a big difference in the market. Why am I looking at this? I can see this right here. I've been a copywriter and a marketing consultant for both corporate in my own business and also for small business owners. And I just love helping people with their strategy and their marketing and their message. And I speak obviously on marketing and branding, so that's one of the things that I do. So this was really my job. Anybody remembers this show? First I was Peggy, and then I was Don at an advertising agency in New York that was very similar to the one that you would have seen on Mad Men. About 20 years afterwards, not all that much had changed, I have to tell you. A lot of the stuff that's going on right now, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I had that happen to me. Some of the brands that I worked on included, I've talked about Hanes, IBM was a big one, KFC, Colgate-Palmolive, we're going to be talking about that a little bit later, and a bunch of other ones also, lots of big companies. And yes, I did get to work with Michael Jordan on the Hanes stuff and a bunch of other celebrities too. But this was my first job. My first job was to be a street musician in New York City. I was getting interviewed on TV at that point. I was becoming a big star at that moment. I was in college, and I needed to make a living. I needed a summer job, and I was too young to work in a restaurant that would sell alcohol. I couldn't type worth it down. And my parents, so I wouldn't call myself an inventor, but I do have a few ideas, and I've had a couple of patent pendings. I've never had anything made, but I've always been super creative, and my parents, to their credit, thought it was an okay idea for their 16-year-old daughter to go out and stand on the street corner in Manhattan and play music in a cardboard box, which is what I did for 5 summers. The reason I even bring this up today is, number one, to show you that I'm one of you and interested in making things, but also it was relevant to focus groups, because there's no focus group like a street corner in Manhattan. Okay, and I did this for 5 summers, so I got to see a lot about what people liked and what they didn't like, and about what pleased them, what got a laugh, what didn't get a laugh, what they bought more of. Because what was happening was, people would put a quarter in my little slot. It was called a human jukebox. I wish I could say I invented it. I ripped it off. I saw a guy do it in San Francisco when I was 10, and I said, someday I'm going to do that in New York. And my folks hoped, I guess they thought I forgot about it when they said, what kind of summer job do you want? I said, I want to do that human jukebox thing I saw in San Francisco when I was 10. And so, but every summer I made a little bit of an innovation. First summer I just, they put a quarter in the slot and I played whatever song I felt like. Then I added the buttons where they could choose a song. Then I realized I could get more people to buy more songs if I changed my costume for each one. So here I finished playing like a piece of the Bach, a very small piece of the Bach Brandenburg Concerto No. 2, right there. So I'm back there. So I got people to buy more than one. Like they instead of 25 cents, I'd get maybe 75 cents or a dollar from the same person. So these little innovations that would happened because I was watching what my customers were doing, not because I was doing what I felt like doing. I saw what worked and I used it. So it's a little bit like what we're going to be talking about today. Not exactly like a focus group, but a little bit. So why focus groups? Why would you want to use a focus group? I mean, obviously, there's some obvious reasons, but I hope we're going to tell you a few like less obvious ones today. And they don't all have to be as formal as what it looks like here. These are the kinds of ones that I'm used to seeing, but you know, it can be a much more informal situation. The biggest reason is, oh, that really got cut off. Your audience is really the only opinion that matters. I'm showing a picture of Jay Leno here because he and a lot of other, professional comedians will still, very often, not just every once in a while, go into a little comedy club that you pay like 15 bucks to get into and just try their stuff out. Because before they go out and invest their real audience in this, they want to see how it plays. And so it's kind of like a focus group. So the idea is that you're getting some real feedback, some honest feedback from people who aren't trying to make you feel good, who aren't enabling something. I'm not saying that any of you guys who have ever fantasized that your idea was better than it actually was. But it's really hard to get perspective from yourself or from your friends or your mom or people who have a vested interest in making you happy. So it's important to get out in front of your audience and to just get out of the bubble. So that's really what a focus group is really all about. You get, why is this doing this? Wow, you get authentic feedback. When I was looking at this, everything was on the same line. You didn't have to read this anyway. You get authentic feedback, and just as important, you get authentic language. And as a copywriter, someone who writes, marketing, it's gold to me to hear the actual way people talk about something. And a focus group is unique in that you hear people talking. It's not just you asking questions and them answering, but they talk to each other too, and they start to have a conversation about your product. And there's gold in there. There's gold in there for your product, but there's also gold in there for your marketing, because the same product, I'm going to demonstrate that in a few minutes, the same exact product is either a great idea or a crappy idea, depending on how you market it. Can be. Okay, and that's really where my passion comes in, because yes, of course, you can test for all kinds of other things, functionality and things like that, but you can have the exact same physical product, and you tell people one thing about it, and they don't care. You tell them something else about it, and suddenly it's the greatest thing ever. So focus groups will help you figure that out. It's important to make a distinction here between what's called qualitative and quantitative research. I'm not a research expert, but this is a very kind of basic thing. Most of you probably already know this, but it bears repeating. A focus group is not going to tell you whether your idea is going to sell or not. And it's not going to give you a conclusive idea. It's not for statistics. Because qualitative is focus groups, and it's like man on the street stuff. It's and any kind of, we call it anecdotal. We call it anecdotal. And quantitative is if you're you're doing things like surveys and polls and their statistics. What you get from qualitative research is why people feel a certain way and how they feel about it and their language and the things like I said before. What you get from quantitative research is big numbers, like, you can see like 95% of the people said this and 45% of the people said that. You have enough people being surveyed that those numbers have some meaning. With a focus group, you're sitting around with 8 people, and you can run multiple focus groups to get a little bit more, sure about things, but it's really kind of more to get nuances, not to decide, is this a viable idea or is this not a viable idea? But it can give you clues. It's good confirmation also if you think you're on the right track. So obviously the wrong product costs money. Prototypes and all your time and effort and all the other stuff that you have to do to create the product and all the blood, sweat, and tears. So it helps to know if you're doing if the product is wrong or something about the product is wrong, not just the whole idea, but maybe there's one little thing about it that could be changed. And you might not even see it if you don't ask people, the people who are going to be, your consumer. And also, the wrong message costs money, and the wrong typeface will go on to the next line and make your slides completely illegible, especially when you switch from Mac to PC, which is what I think just happened. So these were beautiful slides when they were here this morning. So you know every little thing about your product. You have designed it, you've thought about it, you've lived with it, you know every single thing, and you have a curse of knowledge. You know too much. And the people that you're going to be putting it in front of don't know anything. So that's one of the things that makes a focus group so valuable. Because you understand absolutely everything about it and why it's awesome. But do they? Do they get it? Do they even understand it at all? Like why, like what is this for, right? Do others see why it matters? Do others see what's great about it? And why it matters? And does it solve their problem? And here's the most important thing. Is there even a problem? Because I see a lot of, now I don't know how a light up hat solves a problem, except it's like, hey, you want to have more fun, or you want to have more team building, or you want to have whatever, but, you know, something fun to do to wear at night that lights up, I can see that. But a lot of times people just make something, they just think it's cool, or awesome, or whatever, and people are like, well, why do I need this? What is this for? And that's really where the problem comes in. So this is where I go into my little spiel, my little story. And this is how focus group saved my career and the entire product category. Okay, so bear with me, a little war story from my advertising years. So I worked for an ad agency. It was Young and Rubicam at the time. Our client was Colgate-Palmolive. And Procter & Gamble was the big dog, and they made a product called Cascade, which you probably heard of because they still make it. It came in this powder box form, and in fact, dishwasher detergents that went in your dishwasher only came in powder form. You couldn't get anything else at the time, and Cascade was by far the big leader. So Colgate-Palmolive, in their wisdom, decided that they were going to compete with Cascade by coming out with their own automatic dishwasher detergent. They called it Palmolive Automatic, and they made it in a liquid form. Now they thought this was a good idea because for years and years, and you probably remember this if you're old enough, years and years they had a liquid dishwashing detergent. They still make it. That had this long-running campaign with Madge the manicurist. Oh, it's so gentle you can soak your fingernails in it. And the idea is, oh my God, I can't believe I'm soaking in dishwashing detergent. No, don't worry, it's Palmolive, it's gentle on your hands, but it's tough on your dishes, but gentle on your hands. The whole idea is it's gentle. So you can imagine how people felt about the idea of something that goes in your dishwasher that's gentle. You know? First of all, is it even going to work? I mean, so, and the thing is, my partner and I were given the task to write a commercial, a whole big campaign with lots and lots of money behind it, and we're looking at each other going, like, what do we even do? What do we write about this? There's no reason for this product. They thought it would come up with a different form, and because they had this heritage of liquids, that was going to be something that people were going to want. You could see it in a minute. They'd never even thought about whether a single person would want this product. And we're sitting there staring at this and going, kept trying to come up with commercial ideas, and they were all like so lame, with bottles dancing around and liquid cascading everywhere, and all kinds of things trying to make it, oh wow, it's a liquid, fantastic. It's like, well, who cares, right? So in desperation, I decided I'm going to go sit in the focus groups. Creative people in advertising agencies do not like to sit in the focus groups. It's really for the research people, right? We like to sit and we like to have fun and play Nerf basketball and things like that. And it was really, you're sitting in a dark room. This is not the group. This is not, I didn't take a picture. It would not have been cool of me to do that. But this looks exactly like the room I was sitting in. And that would have been my head right there thinking we were looking through a one-way mirror. They couldn't see us. We could see them. It was really kind of creepy. And we're sitting there for hours and hours, and we had group after group come in. We ate, I don't know, pounds of M&Ms and red vines while we were watching these women all say, every one of them, one after another, I don't want this. We don't need this. I love Cascade. Cascade's great. Why would we need anything else besides Cascade? And my partner and I were like, oh my God, we're going to get fired. We're never going to be able to come up with anything that's going to work to sell this product. It's a dog. And so the moderator, the person moderating the focus group was so desperate. You know, she just kept trying to get them to say anything, and she couldn't get them to say anything. Finally, in exasperation, she said, "Okay, I get it. You are not really interested in this. You love Cascade. I understand. But if I said I was going to pay you $1 million, and you had to tell me one thing that you don't love about the way you're doing your dishes right now, what would it be?" And the room got quiet, and one woman said, "Well, it's probably because I have an older dishwasher." See, she still wouldn't blame the product because they were so loyal to their brand. And that's what you want, right? Not when you've got a brand. "It's probably because I have an older dishwasher. Every once in a while, you know, I'll run the dishwasher and I'll open it up, and the powder got stuck in a little cup in the door, and there's little pieces of like dishwasher powder all over the dishes, and the dishes aren't clean, and it just didn't work." And all the other women started to say, "Oh yeah, that happened to me too." And suddenly there was like a little bit of a different mood in the room, and the moderator was like, "Oh, this is interesting." So she started to ask them, so how does this make you feel? Because before, we were telling them that oh wow, we have this liquid, they kept saying the dreaded words you never want to hear as a marketer, and that's this. So what? But then, when we started to talk about this very seldom moment when their product wasn't perfect, suddenly you got this reaction. I hate when that happens. They all agree. Every single one of them. And this was not quantitative research. This was just like 8 women. One woman brought this up. 8 women loved Cascade 5 minutes ago. One woman brought this up, and suddenly 8 women were saying, "Oh, that sucks. I hate that. I hate when that happens. I hate that." And my partner and I were so excited. And the moderator got excited, and she said, so why is that a bad thing? "Oh, well, I thought I was done with my work for the day, and now it's not finished yet, and my husband and I got in a fight because he thinks I'm finished, and I'm not finished, and I have to run the dishes again, and it just ruins my whole day." And the woman said, "Yeah, I hate that." And so the bottom line, said, "Well then, what does that make you feel like doing?" Well, the woman said, "It makes me feel like taking all my dishes and just throwing them out the window." And all the other women said, "Yeah, me too." So 5 minutes earlier, nothing could pry their Cascade out of their cold, dead hands. And now, 5 minutes later, we're looking at pitchforks and torches. "That's terrible, we hate this product when it does this to me. That ruins my life, and ruins my marriage, and ruins my day." And so, I said to my partner, "Well, there's our commercial." So we walked upstairs, and about 5 or 10 minutes, I wrote a script, and seriously, in half an hour, we had this commercial written. Next stop, Hollywood. We went off to, we showed it to the client liked it. Everybody, the consensus in the focus group was so strong, we thought we have something here. And it was easy to say yes, because it was all we had. It was all we had. We didn't have another idea. That was it. So I'm going to attempt to actually show you, I found it on YouTube, and this is a vintage TV commercial. I'm going to attempt to show you this thing. I'm going to see if I can make this go.
After 25 years, people have had it with dishwasher powders all over their dishes. Fortunately, you're about to get a break from powders. Introducing Palmolive Automatic, a revolutionary new liquid made just for automatic dishwashers. Because it's a liquid, it dissolves faster to rinse clean with no powder residue. So you can get on with other things. Try new Palmolive Automatic and break away from powders.
Ta-da! Okay, so that is the ad that my focus group wrote, and that's because it was exactly what they said. It makes me feel like taking my dishes and throwing them out the window. So we threw them out the window. They threw them out the window. We threw them against the wall. We ran opera music. People thought, it's definitely not, going to win any creative awards. I have these stills here in case we couldn't make the video go. But it did win what's called an Effie Award. And an Effie Award is for advertising effectiveness. Because this was a product that I swore to God until I saw that focus group, this is going to be discontinued. No one's going to buy it, right? They could not keep it on the shelves. They could not make it fast enough. It was just selling out over and over and over again. But eventually, And we did a few more commercials just like that one, and people loved it, whatever. But eventually the company, Colgate, called our agency and said, we're going to have to pull the campaign off the air. And we're like, why? It's working great. They said, yeah, it's fine. Everyone loves the product already. They already know about the product. They like it. The problem is we're getting letters from women saying, my child is throwing our dishes against the wall. Yeah, so, they thought, well, we've made our point, right? So what we did was, you see what we did? We took what was bad about the product at first, or boring, or so what about it. Oh, it's a liquid. That's why you won't have the problem that you had with the other thing. And then women all got it. They said, yeah, it can't get stuck in the cup and be like a brick because it's a liquid. I'll never have that problem again, that horrible problem that I hate. So that's how the focus group saved my bacon. And now, there's a whole category. Cascade makes a liquid for the dishwasher. I don't think they ever would have done that except for this, right? So what are the kinds of things that you can learn from a focus group? I mean, it's not, besides just what is your product a good idea, you can test products, but also just features of a product. Well, that was a feature, it's a liquid, what the colors, things that do that, widgets and functionality, and how many colors does your cap come in, and does it flash or doesn't flash, and all those kinds of things, like talk about those things. Messages, like what kinds of things would you say about the product? Because we could have just said it was a liquid till the cows came home, but until we contrasted it with what happens with the other guy, nobody cared. What other benefits could your product have? What are the use cases? Like, yeah, I mean, like it could work in corporate, could work in concerts, could work in camping, could work in Halloween, Christmas. What are some of the other ideas that people would come up with in the room? Kind of cool. Some things that you just might not have thought of, especially since you've been working on it so long. You're kind of too close to it to have anything new to say, right? So. Also, if you'll give me your business card or something, I'll send you these slides because I stopped trying to be pretty, which I ended up not being pretty anyway, and I just started to put like a whole bunch of words down here. But if you want to know what kinds of questions to ask, here are some good kinds of questions. So I'm not going to read them all, but the first one, what are you doing or using now to solve whatever problem it is that this product solves? Like, what are you doing now? So, if you're making something that's like a pet product or even a medical product, you've got this issue that you're using this product for, what are you doing now to solve it? And then see how they're talking about that. And what do you like the least? What do you like the most, or what do you like the least about how you're doing it now? That's kind of how we ended up with the Palmolive commercial. So you can see how some of these questions would give you good information. And even just asking, like, who is this for? Who do you think this is for? Who would use this? Would give you some ideas because you think who it's for, but they might say, oh, I could totally see, expectant mothers using this because they could do this or that or the other thing with it. Oh, I never thought of that. You might not use all of it, but, you might use some of it. Why is this thing I'm showing you now? Why is this better than what you're already doing? How is it a step up? How is it an upgrade? Just hear what they say. How would you these are good. How would you describe it to a friend or a colleague? I actually stole some of these questions. I got picked to do a ride along. I went through a drive-thru at McDonald's with these glasses on the other night with little that tracked where my eyes were going with a bunch of people from some research company, and I stole some of the questions that they asked me. If this product were a sport, what sport would it be? It's like if going through McDonald's drive-thru was a sport, like what sport would it be? It's like, what's sport? I mean, like golf, because I have to strategize where I'm at. Anyway, it was kind of interesting. If it was an animal, if it was a person or a superhero, so it's interesting to see what people will say. Sometimes something will come out that you just weren't expecting. Here are some important tips to keep in mind. Make sure that when you put together your group, and I'll give you a few tips about that. I'm not an expert in that, but I'll give you a few tips about how to get started putting together a group. You want to focus your target as well as your topic. You don't want to ask them absolutely everything there is to ask about every single aspect of every single thing, and you also don't want to ask just anybody, obviously, right? You want to gather and try to keep it all one group. You might decide you want to ask both prospective users of your product, and also, you know, well, for example, if you're doing medical, if you're doing something with medical, you might want to have a group of end users, like who might actually use your product, and also maybe a group of doctors, the kind of people who prescribe the product. So that's kind of more of a business-to-business case. You wouldn't want to mix up in the same group the doctors and the patients. Does that make sense? Because they're going to be talking to each other, and then you want them to be able to brainstorm with each other about your stuff. Try not to lead the witness. Try to ask questions in a way that allows them to express themselves without any idea of what kind of an answer you're looking for. Now, obviously, if it's your product, they're going to know that you're going to want to hear good things. So some people will try to please you. That's going to happen anyway. Believe me, those women weren't trying to please anybody in that room. They were like, they wanted them to like the product, and they didn't like it. But watch out for the the attention hogs. Sometimes there's one person who just thinks that their opinion matters more than anybody else's, and they dominate the entire conversation and make everybody else go like, you can see that they're just not contributing, and so you just have to kind of shut them down in a nice way and say, oh, I'd really like to thank you so much, Mary, for that, very generous response, but I'd really like to hear from everybody, so we have time to hear from everybody, something like that. It's really good to have somebody else with you, not do it all by yourself, someone else with you to take notes, to serve drinks, to run the recording thing or whatever. You're not doing all of that yourself because it's just too much. You won't be able to pay attention to what you're doing. Most of the time you need to offer some kind of an incentive to get people to come and do it, unless they're all your best friends. Like if you wanted to get other people in this room to help you out, then maybe they would. If you're in a meetup group or something like this, then you might be able to get some people to volunteer. But it's nice, even you have sandwiches here tonight, so you have to have something. Some people will offer, an Amazon gift card or something like that. You'll see offers for this kind of thing all over, like on Craigslist and stuff. And make sure that you get like a release. You can just download a standard release from the internet is pretty good. You want to record it, because you're not going to be able to be present. You're not going to be able to take notes perfectly. Just record it, and that way you can review it later, and you can get what we call verbatims. Actually, there will be phrases that you'll be able to pull out to be able to use in your marketing or to show somebody else if you're looking for investors. Like, here's what people said about this, right? And how do you even get those verbatims? Well, there are fantastic transcription companies now. There's this one called rev.com that will transcribe audio for $1 an audio minute. And with 99% accuracy, and it's back to you in a couple of hours. Pretty cool. If the recordings are really super clear, they have a new version of the exact same thing, but they only charge 10 cents an audio minute. But I think for focus groups, you probably need the more expensive service because it's too many voices, and a lot of, you can't guarantee the quality. But then you have a transcript of everything that everybody said, written, that you can edit, that you can copy and paste things out of. It's really amazing. It's really worth having. So I'll try to tell you a little bit about this. I did a little research of my own. It's not my expertise, but you can get people to be in your focus groups by going to online forums, by bulletin boards, both physical and online bulletin boards. Meetup is an interesting way. You could decide to start a meetup on meetup.com to do this. I see a lot of offers for focus group attendees on Craigslist. I mean, the thing is, when you put stuff out on the internet, people will say that they fit your criteria just because they want to get, a $20 Amazon gift card and stuff. So you have to kind of be prepared for the fact that you're not always going to get the best, most, perfectly vetted people. You can email your friends and do word of mouth, but there are also these professional firms. Obviously, that costs money to have them facilitate this entire thing for you, but you get a much more purer result because they do vet people. They put them through an application process, and they don't let anybody into your survey or focus group unless they really fit the criteria. But even if you can't do it perfectly, even if you have to do it informally and cheaply, I hope you can see that it's still better to go and kind of tap the resource that is the objective views of your audience, because really in the end it's really not about you, your product, your invention, your baby. It's really not about you. It's about the people that you've made it for, and the people that want to enjoy it and buy it. And So they need to know, they need to love what you've created, and they need to understand how you're explaining what you created. And they need to resonate with that. If you want to brainstorm any of this stuff with me in terms of your marketing and stuff like that, I invite you to get in touch with me on social media. LinkedIn is a good way, Facebook is a good way. You can have, like, this is a problem when things don't work. That says lisarosting.com/meet30, not 3, because even as fast as I talk, 3 minutes is still not enough for us to have a meeting. So if you want to have a 30-minute consult with me on your, just about like how you might position or market your product, and we talk about focus groups, but I would talk to you more about positioning and maybe some marketing ideas. Boy, there was an email address there too, lisa@lisarosting.com, if you want to connect with me by email. Does anybody have any questions about any of this?
Can you repeat the whole thing?
The whole thing? All of it in the very beginning?
Fascinating.
Oh, okay. I'm sure. Actually, since it's been videoed, I can play my commercial again. But anyway, thank you. There's one. Yes.
Let's say your product's not exactly a mass product that's kind of specific to industry. How do you select people for the focus group?
Well, actually, if it's specific, that's your job is a lot easier. You could if you wanted to. It depends on how much money you have, how much money you want to invest. You could advertise for respondents in a company newsletter or in a industry newsletter. You could ask an association to come and speak in an association or hand out flyers in an association. I think if it's more specific, the better, because those people will congregate in a certain place. They might have LinkedIn groups or Facebook groups. I didn't even mention that here, to be able to get in front of those people. So what you want to do is find maybe a couple of centers of influence, people who have access to a large audience of those types of people, and ask them to disseminate that for you. Yeah?
Oh, okay, so after you have your consult, then do you tell the customer the best way to advertise their products?
Oh, you mean like if I were like a moderator or something? No, I mean, see, here's the way it would work in a big company. And when I was in the advertising business, I didn't run the focus groups. We would hire a company that did focus groups to create, to invite these people, to have the meetings, to moderate the discussion, to present their findings to us. Basically, here's what we heard people saying. Most people liked this, they didn't like that. We heard a lot of people saying this, we heard more people saying that, and they would give us this information, and then those of us at the agency would sit and go, okay, now, hearing what these people said, is there anything that falls out of that we can maybe use in our marketing that feels like it's true, it resonates? And then we also would sometimes have quantitative research that would say, that would give us some more insights and stuff like that. But no, I mean, the focus group person is not usually going to be the person who's going to give you any kind of advice about how to use the information. They're just giving you...
giving you what they think.
Yeah, they'll give you the data, and they will also often give you their interpretation. Here's what we think this means. But then, okay, now that I know what this means, armed with that knowledge, now how am I going to talk about the product?
Right.
That's the job of the marketing person or the advertising person or you. The focus group person basically is just, they've collected the information and then given their interpretation of what they think it means. And you don't even have to agree with them, because you'll have those verbatims. You can read everything that everybody said. You can say, I know the moderator said this, but I actually see this other thing also coming out that I think that we have a better, we did that a lot. We'd sometimes see like the winning argument was not necessarily the thing that we spent most time on. We said, this other thing that's over here that seems like it's also like a runner-up kind of thought. Maybe let's explore that and then test them against each other. That kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Did I go too long? Did I go too short? Great. I don't know.
I went too long. No too longs. A big
I
thank
know.
you.
Thank
Big
you.
thank you.